A masculine man desires a feminine woman. And the reality is that a lot of you ladies desire a masculine man. Now, some of you might be feeling like, well, there ain't that many going around anymore. That's a whole nother discussion. But the fact remains that you, as a woman, many of you are typically drawn to more masculine men. But part of the struggle in attracting that masculine man is answering the question, are you exuding your feminine energy? Are you leading with the energy that's going to draw to you the things that you desire and want in your life? And not just in the sense of that masculine man, but the overall quality of your life. Because femininity, again, is your power. It is your superpower. It is that thing that once you unlock it, you are going to see things get so much better. So I'm going to break down for you some of the feminine qualities and traits that men love in women. But again, understand that it's not just for them, it's for you. Now, but before I begin, be sure to like this video and subscribe to this channel so you can watch all my other videos. But number one on this list is being open and receptive. So what do I mean by that? When you are a woman walking in your feminine energy, you are open to love. You are able to receive compliments. You are able to allow a man to do for you. And that's a huge, important point because so many women, so many of you struggle right now with letting a man do for you. And you don't understand how that doesn't exude femininity, all right? Being too caught up in your independence, being too walled up, because the reality is that letting him do for you requires you to be vulnerable. And many of you fear that vulnerability. You not only fear that vulnerability, hell, you may even fear femininity as a whole, because to you, femininity may equate to weakness. Femininity equates to, that's what got me hurt in the past. And so now you think by having that wall up, by I'll take care of it myself, by not having to rely on no man, I emotionally protect myself from being hurt and let down. But in actuality, you cause more damage. You add more stress to your life. And you don't allow your feminine energy to come out of you, which it not only repels the kind of man that you want, that masculine man, it draws in the man who will put the burden on your back, who will leech off of you, who doesn't mind you being the one carrying all the stress and being overwhelmed, because those men don't walk in their masculine energy. Now, I don't want to get too far off the point here. Let's get back to being open and receptive. That is a quality that the masculine man loves to see in a woman, because you have to also understand that giving to you, providing for you, is something that a masculine man wants to do. And when you're not able to receive that, you essentially kill his ability to pour love, to pour desire, to feel good about what he also brings to the table into your life. Because whether we want to accept it or not, everyone wants to feel needed and valued in a relationship. They want to feel needed and valued by that person they take interest in. And by not allowing him to pour into you in his way because you are not receptive, you kill that. You choke the life out of that. And again, you set yourself on the path to receive the type of men who will drain you rather than the men who will fill your cup and uplift you and take those burdens off your back. So embrace being more receptive. And it's not just being receptive to, again, him doing for you. It's being receptive to a man giving you a compliment. It's being receptive to love in general, being open to it. Many of you say you want love, but you're scared as hell of it. You are running for the hills when you see true love come your way, because again, that love requires vulnerability. And so let me add this. If you are struggling in this area, it starts with you healing. I mean, hell, to unlock your feminine energy as a whole, you've got to embrace healing. It is what is truly necessary in this process. And again, I want you to understand, healing, Unlocking your femininity, it's not just about the men. I feel like I have to like stress that point so you understand this is for you first and foremost. But it will not just benefit you. Yes, it will benefit your ability to have this amazing relationship. It will benefit if you have kids already. It will benefit how you engage with others around you. So be willing to embrace healing so that you can become more receptive, so that you can start exuding more of your feminine energy. The second feminine quality that men love in women is being positive and encouraging. All right? No, I would argue most men do not want to deal with a negative woman. And negativity does not convey femininity. All right? And so you got to get to a better place. Now, what contributes to that, one little thing that helps, is smiling more. Now, I know some of y'all probably already making a face because I'm telling you to smile more, right? And some of you don't like to be told that you need to smile more. But please understand that smiling is good for your soul, number one. But yes, it helps convey more positive energy and femininity. There was a study that was done that shows men find women more attractive when they smile. That's just the reality. And now some of you may be saying, well, men need to smile too. I'm not saying men shouldn't smile too, but the same study found that men who weren't smiling or smiling in their pictures actually were being found more attractive. And the reason is because the non-smile conveyed more of this masculine energy. And the smile taps more into your feminine energy. Now, please understand, we all have masculine and feminine energy in us. We all will have to tap into both sides at different times, but there is a dominant energy that each side has to walk in if they want to get certain results, and what I would argue are the best results in their life, all right? So yes, tapping into that positivity, and let me also say in regards to the smiling becomes easy when you're at peace from within. And so that goes back to the healing again. And you're going to notice everything I mentioned on this list, at the root of it is you needing to heal if you're struggling in this area. But understand that, yes, smiling, being more positive with your words, with your attitude, with your overall energy is a feminine quality that men truly love in a woman and men are more drawn to in a woman. So now let's move on to number 3. And I think you're going to find number 3 a little interesting. Third one is knowing how to persuade, not dictate. All right? So here's the thing. Feminine energy at its core can be very seductive, very sly, very delicate with the approach, because the feminine energy, again, knows how to persuade, knows how to get what they want out of people using more positive, softer energy. The person who dictates is, well, you need to do this and you need to do that, and they're telling you what to do. It's a harder energy that repels men, or more specifically, repels masculine men, repels men who want a healthy, loving relationship with a woman. That's not what a man is drawn to. The same way, listen, you don't want someone who's dictating to you, all right? You want someone that, yes, can lead. You want someone who's strong, can make decisions, but not just telling you what to do, end the story, right? So why the hell would he want that? That's not what he wants. But as a woman, when you know how to use your feminine energy, you technically can still get what you want without having to be a dictator. Now listen, here's a simple example. Have you ever noticed a woman who uses terms of endearment with everyone? Everyone is baby, sweetheart, honey, all right, when she talks to people. If you paid attention and watched her, do you ever see that woman having a hard time to get a man to do her a favor? No. She'll have a man washing her car, carrying her groceries, opening her door. Why? Because she knows how to talk to the men. She knows how to convey that persuasive, feminine, even seductive energy. And it doesn't have to be seductive in this sexual way, but seductive in a way that, again, it reels the men in. It kind of puts men in a trance. And it's like, okay, like they'll do what you say. You know what I'm saying? So when you learn how to master that, Men, whether knowingly or unknowingly, love that. Love that you know how to talk to me in a way that, yes, can still get me to see your side or still get me to embrace what you desire here without just trying to run me and tell me what to do. And I'm going to give you one quick example using myself. All right. I remember this was a long time ago. I had a friend, a woman friend, genuine friend, all right, platonic friend. And, she would call me, and the first thing she would do when she calls me is she'll say, "What are you doing?" And my response would be, "None of your damn business." All right? Every single time. Now, here's the thing. I did not have a problem telling a woman what I was doing, friend or no friend. My issue was how she was talking to me. You're talking to me like I'm your child. You're questioning me like I have to answer you right now. Whereas another woman can call me and say, "Hey, what are you up to?" And I'll give them the whole damn rundown of what I'm doing, what I did earlier, what I plan on doing later. When you know how to talk to a man, it's easier for him to open up. He's more willing to open up. But when you come across with that attacking energy, you will shut things down. You will cause things to be thrown left. So be mindful of that. Learn how to persuade rather than dictate. That's going to go a long way with exuding a feminine quality that men are definitely drawn to. So now we're on number 4, and number 4 is practicing self-care and keeping yourself up, all right? Masculine men, or men in general typically, they love a woman who takes care of herself. They are drawn to a woman who is, and again, not just taking care of yourself. Yes, there is a part of it is taking care of how you look and keeping up your look and your presentation. That's just real. That's just is what it is. And again, the more masculine a man is, the more that he may desire that in his woman, because that does pour into feminine energy, all right? But it goes beyond just how you are presenting yourself physically. It is about self-care on all levels, because what you have to understand is this. If you don't take care of yourself overall, mentally, emotionally, all these things, spiritually, then you will start to deteriorate in a way that you can't show up in those other feminine ways that we've already talked about and will continue to discuss. You won't have the energy for that positivity. You won't be able to be as patient and persuading. You won't have the energy to even care about how you look today because you're so beat down and worn out. So when you don't take care of you, you no longer become good for him, for yourself. You just completely throw things off track. So when I say self-care, I mean it as I say it. Self-care overall. You need a day where you have a break. You need a day to recharge your batteries. And I would argue that any man who is serious about you, cares about you, and is a man who truly walks in his masculine is not going to have a problem. Is going to embrace you doing what you need to make sure you can always bring your best to the table. And so you've got to take an inventory, or you've got to create a structure in your life that allows you to have me time, that allows you to pour into yourself. Many of you are so burnt out and burdened by all the things going on in your life. And essentially life is running you, you're not running your life. And you don't realize how that is stopping you from walking in your feminine energy. And again, exuding that feminine energy. So, and for anyone saying, well, I just don't have time. Listen, you do. You have to make time. You've got to be strategic. You got to sit down and map out, okay, what are my hours? What am I doing every day? How can I rearrange my time? I'm going to give you one quick story. I had a client, this was years ago, and she came to me and she was struggling with dating and relationships. I think she had been divorced for a few years. Anyways, she also had 2 kids. And so I noticed this woman was overwhelmed, stressed, and definitely not walking in her feminine energy. So I was like, okay, give me your schedule. What's your schedule looking like? And she was running down what she works 9 to 5 during the week. When she comes home, she's cooking for the kids. She's taking care of them. She's a single mother, all these things. I said, okay, well, what about the weekends? Well, on the weekends, it's time to clean the house. She has to clean the kids' room. I said, wait a minute, stop right there. How old are the kids? She was like 14 and 15. I said, wait a minute. So You got what I call grown-ass kids, all right? 14, 15, able-bodied children, okay? And you're cleaning their room. This is your weekend that you should be relaxing and you have to clean your kid's room? Oh, hell no. This is a problem. So when you say to me, you don't have time, no, you have not created a structure that gives you the time. So I gave her the homework assignment of, no, for the next 2 weeks, I need you to train those kids how to clean their room and leave it on them. And to be honest with you, you may want, and I know some of you may be saying, well, they don't clean it right or they don't do it, so I got to pick up after them. Listen, it's not that I want you to accept your child's dirty room, right? But if let's just say you're able to get things to a place where the children are respecting the common areas, but their room isn't always the cleanest on the weekends. If you have to take yourself out of your time to relax and recharge so that you can clean up after them, like that's not worth it to ensure their room stays clean. I just don't think that's worth your peace and sanity. And you got to be honest with yourself. Are you cleaning their room because it's really that important, or is that a distraction for you? Are you just finding ways to stay busy because you don't want to face the reality of your life? And I know that's hitting some of y'all's spirit because that's what some of y'all are doing. And you're using all this, I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do that. No, you are trying to distract yourself by overfilling your plate with all these chores and extra activities that don't need to be there. Stop. Stop doing that. And this goes back to you need to heal so that you stop trying to distract yourself, that you address whatever deeper issues are going on there, and that you can start creating a life that allows you to have more time for yourself and a priority on self-care, which, yes, will allow you to walk more in your feminine energy and exude it and create an overall better quality of life. All right. Whew. So a lot just came out there. All right. But let's keep going. Let's get to number 5. But before I mention number 5, listen, if you notice, I keep talking about healing. We're clearly talking about feminine energy and feminine qualities. But I also want you to find more peace, find your purpose. I want you to be able to experience all the things that you desire in life. So a lot of you ask me about one-on-one coaching. Well, what I do have for you is my special coaching program. Go to www.receivingmyblessings.com or click the links in the description or the comment section. It has helped thousands of women. You are going to love it. It's going to be exactly what you need because, again, we've got to prioritize our growth, our self-care, our healing, and invest in that. And this is going to allow you to go on a journey with other like-minded women who are all encouraging each other and getting to a better place. So again, click that link in the description or in the comment section or go to receivingmyblessings.com. So now number 5 is being attentive and considerate, all right? Being attentive, being considerate, being nurturing are all very feminine qualities. And men love that. Now, I feel the need to say this, though this may sound weird, but I'm going to say it. You can see how much men love this by seeing how some men are with their mothers. All right? Now, listen, I'm the first one to say I don't want men to be mama's boys in the sense that they don't know how to detach from their mother and prioritize their wife or their partner, right? But I do think there is plenty to learn from that dynamic. And when these men are so attached or loyal to their mothers, it's because that mother pours into them in those ways. She's attentive, she's considerate, she's very encouraging, very supporting. All of those things are feminine qualities that men desire and want in a woman. And sometimes what happens is that because he does not get those qualities from his partner, and we can discuss all the reasons why he's with a woman who doesn't give him that, but the point is, when he does not get that from his partner, but his mother gives him that, you will see him be more attached to his mother than his partner. You will see him prioritize his mother and allow her in some cases to even dictate the relationship more than considering how his partner feels. Because in some ways, the one who gives those qualities holds the power. I kind of hate to phrase it that way, but it's a reality. It does play out that way in so many scenarios. So I'm not telling you this to simply make you think, oh, now I have all the power, but it is to help you understand that, yes, it will strengthen your relationship. It will draw more masculine men to you. It will, again, also allow you to walk more in your femininity. And you have to understand that the more you're able to tap into these feminine qualities in other ways, the more it feeds your other feminine qualities. So it kind of helps build you up overall. And again, brings you to a better place. And real quick, I have a story I have to mention that conveys this a little bit more too. So I remember one time I had this client. She was in London. She might be watching this one day. I don't know. But anyways, she's going to laugh when she hears the story. So she's in London, and beautiful woman, actually was a model. Anyways, she told me one time how, she wasn't getting approached by guys. Guys weren't approaching her. Guys were not asking her on a date. And we would do sessions by Skype. And I was like, hey, listen, I think it's because you look hard. You don't look approachable. You know what I'm saying? And when you're exuding a hard energy and you're good looking, that actually can make you even more intimidating for a man to want to approach you. So I was like, I think you need to, exude more feminine energy. And she was like, what you want me to do? You want me to walk around with a flower in my head? And I said, yes. I said, for 1 week, I want you to put a flower in your hair. I seriously said this. Put a flower in your head. I want you to wear nothing but pastel colors, bright colors, feminine clothes, dresses, skirts, all that. Let's do that for 1 week and let's see what happens. I swear to y'all, on day 2 of the experiment, she was asked out on a date. But that's not even the really good part about the story. The good part was when we talked about it, she said, you know what? What she loved most is that she felt like a woman. For the first time in a long time, she felt like a woman and it felt good. And that's why that's one of the reasons why I'm very passionate about helping you in this journey of tapping more into your feminine energy. Because again, though I'm presenting it as qualities men love, it's so much more about you and what's going to make you happier and give you more peace. So anyways, getting back to the original point, being able to be more attentive, being more nurturing, caring, all those things definitely exude feminine energy and make you a much more desirable woman to a lot of men. All right, so now number 6 is being lighthearted and having a sense of humor. All right. Again, femininity knows how to be playful, knows how to just have fun, knows how to not be so damn serious. All right. And again, especially when we're talking about masculine men who, as I mentioned earlier, are already dealing with a world that's very serious, already dealing with all kinds of things, to be able to come home to someone or come to someone who is peaceful, joyful, playful, fun, that's such a refreshing thing, all right? And so men love when they find that in a woman. Men love when there's a woman they can crack jokes with and she can laugh rather than be offended. Ain't nothing worse than being with a woman who's always so damn serious, always taking something the wrong damn way, all right? And you're generally just making a joke. You're not even trying to insult, but she has to turn it into something negative. That just drains a man. And he's not going to want to commit to that, hold on to that, or again, he's not going to be drawn to that. So you want to make sure that you are not holding on to the energy of finding a reason to be offended. And in a world today that people are quick to be offended, think about it, like it's just so draining at times. So definitely tapping into more of a lightheartedness, having a sense of humor, being able to just enjoy life and have fun and helping him relax. Because a lot of times the masculine man may struggle with knowing how to just relax. So having that woman that brings that balance to him becomes very valuable and highly desired. All right, so now we are at number 7. And the 7th feminine quality men love in a woman is being willing to listen and learn. I had to throw in the learn part, all right? Because I'm sure you've heard the listen part, but let's break it down real quick. So again, now first let me make something very clear. When I say listen, I don't mean it's just simply do as he says, right? Is there a level of being cooperative, being able to just embrace, all right, this is what he wants to do, let me go along with that, being able to flow with this man? Yes, there is a level of that. Do I want you to let a man drive you off a cliff? Hell no. You know what I'm saying? But of course, if we're talking about a genuine guy here, a man who's truly in his masculine health, and I don't feel the need to say healthy masculine, because true masculine to me is healthy, especially when he's serious about a woman, then in that case, yeah, there is that degree of being able to listen and allow him to lead in that way, right? But also listening to him in the sense of, and even more importantly, allowing him to feel like he can talk to you, that he can express himself to you, that you won't throw things back in his face, that you won't make him feel like less of a man if he has a moment of weakness, that you will actually try to understand where he's coming from rather than listen and rebuttal it, or listen and overpower it with your own perceptions and feelings and emotions. Sometimes as a woman, some women allow their emotions in the moment to get the best of them to where they don't realize you're completely ignoring what the man just said to you, or you're not processing his actual words. You're busy interpreting and analyzing. He said he wants to go out and have some chicken. I don't know why I'm talking about chicken right now, but he wants to go out and get him some chicken, and you're like, what he really wants to do is go meet that chick he saw the other day. Like, and I'm just coming up with some extreme example. But what I'm saying is sometimes y'all are so in your head that you're not listening to him. You're not taking him for his words. You're just interpreting and analyzing, and that becomes very frustrating. You got to learn how to just listen, how to just give him the benefit of the doubt. If he's showing you that he can't be trusted, then my thing is, why are you even with him? Why are you even entertaining him? You know what I'm saying? So if that's the argument you're going to make, then let the man go. But outside of that, learn to listen. But I said listen and learn. So it's hearing what he has to say and learning from the learnable moments. Learning him, learning his desires, learning how he works, learning how he likes to be received, learning what his love languages are, all right? And of course, this is a two-way street. Of course, we want the man to learn you as well. We want the man to listen to you as well. It goes without saying right now. But the focus is on you and the feminine qualities that is going to draw that man in, or men love to see in a woman. And that willingness to listen and understand and learn is a beautiful thing, and again, allows you to be in your feminine in that moment. So you have to be willing to embrace that, and if you do, you're going to see a great benefit from it. And now number 8 is being selective. Now this one, I kind of was on the fence about throwing it in there, but let me just explain my logic, and it may be right or wrong, it's just my perception, and here's why I mentioned being selective. I do believe that being selective speaks more to femininity. And I say that because, and I feel a little funny saying this, but I'm just going to tell you what I was thinking earlier. I say it because I thought about it in the sense of just even being sexual, right? Whereas men tend to be a little less selective with who they may lay down with. They might tend to be a little bit more all over the place. One could argue that this desire to be running the streets speaks to a masculine energy, an alpha energy, whatever. That argument can be made, right? Whereas women typically tend to be more reserved. Now, some people can argue that's due to societal conditioning. We're not going to get into all that right now. But the reason why I mentioned selective is because, yes, you tend to see that the woman, the feminine, tends to be more mindful of who she's going to be dealing with. She's not as quick to be wanting to run the streets as a man. And so I do think that whether it is viewed as feminine or not, I'm just giving you the explanation as to why I included it as a feminine trait. But whether you view it as feminine or not, I still do think we can accurately say that men do love to see a woman who is selective, a woman who is not for everyone, a woman who is not easily gotten. And again, but let me stress, when I say not easily gotten, I do not mean, and I am not encouraging playing hard to get. It just means you have standards. And that you're not for everybody. You don't get with this any old man who comes your way making half an effort. That for the men who come correct, for the men who are of quality, because I think some women don't understand that when men see women deal with other men that man may view as low quality, that can reflect poorly on the woman. All right? And that can make the woman less desirable. Like, oh, that's the type of dude she deals with? Now it's like some men may be less likely to view her now as someone he wants to take serious because of the history of the type of guy she dealt with. So by being more selective, by seeming to be a woman who only deals with a certain good quality of man, or a man who brings more to the table, that can make a woman more desirable to a lot of men, and more specifically to a more masculine man. All right? So again, we can argue whether it's truly a feminine trait or not when it comes to being selective, but I do think it is something that men like to see in a woman. And now, number 9, and the last feminine trait men love to see in women is being willing to embrace his lead. So this kind of goes hand in hand with being willing to listen, but I want to go a little further than that. Again, the masculine man is a man who has learned how to lead. And when I say lead, please understand, I'm not talking about lead as a dictator. I'm talking about lead with love. I'm talking leading with having your best interests at heart. I'm talking about leading, making sure I am protecting you, all right, and trying to give you the best as well as give me what I need as well. Making sure we're both happy here. All right, that kind of quality leadership that leads to successful, great, positive, fruitful things. All right. The man who is masculine needs a woman who can embrace his lead, who can trust his leadership. And again, if you struggle to trust a man's leadership, you have to be able to be honest about, is it coming from a lack of healing from what you've been through or seen other women been through? Or is it because this man is lacking certain qualities that allow you to embrace that in him? And if he lacks those qualities, again, the question becomes either why are you with him, or at the very least, address it with him to see if he can correct it so that now we can get things in order. Because if you cannot embrace his lead, what's going to happen is that you will end up being the leader. And if you end up being the leader, you have now walked out of your feminine and you've become the masculine. And now you will condition this man if he isn't truly in his masculine. And I would argue if he's allowing you to now just lead the way, he's probably not truly walked in his masculine. It now becomes a dynamic where the burden is on you. You'll start to resent this man. You'll start to lose respect for this man. It will go downhill at some point. So even though, yes, it doesn't mean that there isn't going to be a moment where the woman may not find herself leading in a situation or the man is leaning on her expertise or whatever. But if it becomes that she is the constant leader, that's going to be a situation that doesn't end well for most people. And it damn sure isn't going to be a situation that allows you to stay and walk in your feminine and exude the energy that man is going to truly be drawn to, that's going to truly give you the peace, harmony, and happiness that you desire and create the amazing, successful relationship that you deserve. A woman who walks in her femininity walks in her power. And I'm about to help you access that power by giving you 5 feminine traits men find irresistible in women. Now listen, I am a firm believer that tapping into your feminine energy is a wonderful, amazing thing, not just for the sake of how it attracts men in relationships, but for you, for your peace of mind, for your health, for your overall happiness. So I want you to keep an open mind as I discuss these things and understand how this is truly to your benefit as a woman. But yes, as I stated, this gives you a power that starts to allow you to shine in a way that will attract not just men, but just opportunities your way. It will open the world up for you, all right? And now there's another video I have. I'm going to link it at the very end, so watch this all the way to the end. It's going to give you 9 more, but let's get 5 that I want to highlight specifically in this video. The first one is a woman who expresses herself. Now, I already know some of y'all are thinking, hell no, because these men don't ever want to talk. They don't want to listen. What do you mean expressing yourself? All right, of course, let me break it down for you, okay? So, believe it or not, here's an important thing you have to always remember as a woman. What works in a healthy relationship or what works for a good man will not work for the other men. And it's important to remember that, because what I see happen to a lot of women is that they apply what went wrong with all these wrong men, with all these toxic men, unhealthy men, men who never belonged in your life, and say, oh, well, since it didn't work here, it doesn't work at all. And that's not true. So when we talk about expressing yourself, the reality is this: the man who is genuine about being with you, the man who has real and serious intentions, okay? He wants you to express yourself. He wants you to be forthcoming. He wants you to be transparent. And it's for various reasons. One, a man who loves you wants to be on the same page as you. And you being willing to express yourself allows there to be more clarity in the relationship. One of the biggest frustrations a man has is the confusion that many men experience with women. And I don't say that to demonize or make women seem bad in the sense of their struggle to give clarity at times. But the truth of the matter is, the way that many women, not all, but many women communicate, or the way that many women expect men to pick up on their method of communication, there's a disconnect in many situations, all right? So a lot of times, for example, I've coached a lot of couples, married couples, and let's just say they're having issues in the bedroom, okay? And the guy, the husband, the boyfriend, whoever will come to me like, I don't know what to do. You know, I need help. So I'll talk to the woman and I'm like, okay, he just doesn't understand, but he's willing. And her response will be, well, why do I have to tell him what to do? I've been with him for so long. How is he so stupid that he doesn't pick up on the signs, that he doesn't understand me by now? All right. And though I'm giving an example in a long-term relationship, this happens in the dating phase as well, where there's an expectation of, how don't you know better? How aren't you seeing this? Part of the reason why is because as women, you guys have a more natural ability to pick up on the details. You're more attentive. You're paying attention to everything. I always say nothing really gets past a woman. She may choose to ignore it, rationalize past it, make excuses for it, but you guys see pretty much everything. Men really don't see it. They're not as aware. They're not as detailed oriented as women. All right. And so they need more direct communication of how you're feeling, what's going on, what is needed in that relationship. So getting back to the original point, a woman who is willing to express herself is such a desirable woman, and it's such a beautiful thing because, again, it brings more peace and clarity in the relationship. And if you say again, well, I've tried so many times to be forthcoming and expressive, but I've gotten shut down, I've gotten hurt, I've gotten used, I want you to recognize you walking in your femininity, you being expressive was not the issue. It was who you were trying to do it with that was the issue. Your selection process of men at that time may have been an issue, but not the actual feminine action of being more expressive and open and allowing yourself to flow. That is a beautiful thing. And again, to highlight why this isn't just good for the sake of the relationship and attracting a man, but it's for your sake, is because, listen, consider or think about those relationships you've been in or situations you've been in where you didn't feel like you could express yourself, where you had to hold back, or not had to, but you chose to hold back, or you felt like you weren't given much of a choice because, again, this individual didn't listen, they weren't receptive to you. It caused stress within you. It caused anger, resentment, frustration. It robbed you of your peace. And that's what happens to people in general. When we have to suppress how we feel, that throws everything off. So being able to walk freely in just being expressive is a beautiful thing. And again, it will impact you on so many levels, but also it would allow you to connect even deeper with the man who's serious about you. And I would argue who you have, I would hope the man that you have a connection with, because I want you to be with the man you have a connection with, not just find some random guy that you can try to make it work with. But I'm not done with being expressive. We're not moving on to the next point just yet, because here's another part of being expressive. And let me start with this. I once read this book. I always forget the name of this book. One day I'm going to remember it. But essentially in this book, this man starts to survey couples leaving after they got their marriage license. So leaving the division of marriage licenses, okay? And he would survey them and ask them all these various questions. And so one of the questions he would ask the women is the men is, why did you choose this woman to marry? And one of the most popular answers he would receive was a very simple answer. I want you to hear it clearly. Because she liked me. I'm going to say it one more time so it can register. Because she liked me. What does this mean? The reality is that many men are taught to be in pursuit of the woman, taught to, lay out the red carpet, go after her if you really want to be with her, all these things. And I'm not necessarily arguing that at the moment. However, a lot of men don't experience the woman essentially giving them that same energy, being expressive in her desire, showing him that she wants him as much as he wants her. And again, in a way that he understands, because the woman may feel like, well, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Of course, I'm showing him I want him. But that doesn't register in his mind. And so when you can learn to be more expressive and express desire, this hits a man in a way that I don't think a lot of women understand. Even to the extent where I have seen situations, I know of many, where men were drawn to women, almost not solely, but the main driver was her willingness to express desire. So I'm going to lay it out for you. I know of one story of a guy where he meets this young lady. It was like a group of friends. And they all were hanging out. He meets a female friend of the group, and she starts flirting with him. Now, in his mind, she was cute, but he didn't really feel the need to want to go after it. It wasn't like, oh my gosh, okay, I want her. This is it. This is my wife or something like that. It's like, oh, she's cute, but his mind wasn't really into it. He just kind of left it alone. But she would flirt. She would compliment him and all these things. And him expressing it to me, it would make him feel really good. And what happened is he found himself, whenever the friends would hang out and she would be there, he started gravitating to her even more. To the point now where she became more attractive to him. I know that we talk a lot about the physical, the visual that men are drawn to. And I'm not doubting that at all or saying that that's not true. However, there are layers of how other things can make someone attractive, even when it comes to men. Because I think we all recognize that when it comes to women, but it can happen with men as well in various ways. All right, it may not be as potent as it can be with women at times, but it does exist. But anyways, her willingness to show desire reeled him in, and then he found himself wanting to pursue this woman. He found himself wanting to be with her because of the way she made him feel. And that willingness to show desire is what played a huge role in it. Now, listen, don't think it was just that. Again, he did view her as a cool girl. She was attractive to him. So I don't want you to think simply expressing desire is going to catch you any man you want, right? But it can definitely play a huge role in making things happen and pushing things along. I also feel the need to point out, consider this. Consider, many of you have seen situations where people are married or in relationships and the man at some point in the relationship chooses to cheat, okay? And then when the woman finds out who the other woman is, she doesn't look nowhere near as good as his partner, all right? Sometimes to the point where the woman's like, what the hell is this? Like, did you really cheat on me with this woman? I'm not trying to sound mean. I'm just saying this is what happens. We all know it exists, right? And what a lot of people don't realize is when you dig into the situation to understand what made this man cheat on his partner with someone who was less attractive, especially when we talk about how men are so drawn to the physical, the visual, all right? It's about things like that woman showing him desire, that woman being accommodating to him. And I'm going to mention some of the other things on this list in this video, but her willingness to express desire plays a huge role. I feel the need to make one more example before we move on. I promise we're going to move on to the next one. Another example where you see this play out a lot is you ever see a situation where there's a man, and let's just say there's two women in his life at this moment. And one woman is, you could say, the more conservative, quote unquote, good girl, whatever you want to label it. And the other woman is the crazy one. All right. She's nuts. Okay. And in a lot of situations, the man chooses the crazy one. And you're like, what the hell is this? And what it boils down to in many situations is that in her craziness, she shows and expresses desire. She has no problem saying to this man and showing this man, I want you. In her mind, you are mine. You ain't going nowhere. And I'm going to fight to the death to have you. Hopefully not actually to the death, but I'm just saying. That's how passionate she is. Whereas the quote unquote good girl conservative one is more nonchalant. Is more, well, if he wants me, he needs to come get me. And I understand why she would have that thought process. But in taking a step back, she's not realizing, but you're not showing him that you even want him. You're not showing him you value him. And men want to feel wanted and desired and valued. So when a woman can express herself, be more forthcoming, provide clarity, express desire, these things are extremely irresistible to a man and will draw him more to you. All right, so now another irresistible feminine trait is being open-minded, and I want to say more specifically, not being judgmental, okay? I think this is another unspoken or not spoken about enough issue that I've seen in a lot of situations, a lot of relationships. Where, one, let's start with being open-minded. I think when you examine relationships with men and women, you tend to see that the woman does tend to be more open-minded at times, and the man might be a little bit more rigid. And it depends. I'm going to say once upon a time. I'm not sure if that really applies right now in today's world, but once upon a time, it was more so the men were more rigid with their ways and the women were a little bit more open and free. And we could argue that that was because once upon a time, women were walking more in their feminine energy, men were more in their masculine energy, and that created that kind of a dynamic. But the reality is that a man does not want to deal with a very rigid woman, all right? A lot of men, of course, there's exceptions to every rule. They want to feel like their woman is, that open-mindedness, that free-flowing, that creates a balance in that man's life. So even if he himself can be a little rigid, we seek a balance in our relationships. Whether consciously or subconsciously, it happens a lot of times. And we want that person that can kind of pull us out of our shell, so to speak, or again, bring just a balance to the relationship. So men want to feel that she's a little more open-minded, but to go deeper, and I'm going to just keep it real with y'all, a lot of times that open-mindedness is desired in the area of sexual relations. Let's just keep it real, all right? And I think that if I had to say where I've heard men complain about a woman's rigidness the most, it would be in the bedroom, all right? Now listen, everyone has their line to draw. And I'm not here to tell you how far to go past the line, okay? You got to find what you're comfortable with, what you're happy with. And this is why I'm a firm believer in we have to talk about these things before we get deep into a relationship, before we get married, even before we ever have sex with each other. I think we need to have discussions about our views on sexuality and what our desires are so we can see if we're on the same page and truly capable of fulfilling each other in that manner. But keep in mind that I think I do understand that when a woman feels comfortable and safe in the relationship, it's easier for her to open up, whether it be sexually, whether it be in various other ways. So I understand the role that the man plays in this dynamic, but I do think that as a woman, you got to own that energy. You got to come into it. And again, wherever your line is, draw it, but you got to come in with that. Not putting it on him to get you to that more open-minded place, but being more open-minded, but having your standards of what you expect in return. What needs to be reciprocated for you to continue to pour into him in that manner. When you are able to show an open-mindedness, that again, I think creates a better energy and environment in the relationship. But also, when we talk about not being judgmental, I think what's important to understand is that, when we talk about men struggling to open up to women sometimes, I've seen it happen in a lot of couples where part of that happens because he's observing how judgmental you are towards other people. So if you are a woman, and let me say this, I wrote this in my very first book, which was actually to men about, it's called How to Get a Woman to Have Sex with You If You're Her Husband, all right? And one of the points I'm making that is, if the woman sees the man is very judgmental towards women in general, that will cause her to feel unsafe in regards to opening up about certain things, even being more sexually free with him, how she's willing to navigate the situation, because she doesn't want him to look down upon her. She doesn't want him to judge her. So she kind of stays in that shell, but of course it has its ramifications. Well, the reality is that happens on the other side as well, where if he sees you are very judgmental of people in general and very judgmental of other women and all these things, well, it doesn't make him feel safe that he can come to you about certain things, because if he feels like you're going to basically turn that wrath on him, so to speak. So learning how not to be, and I think for all of us as human beings, men and women, it is best that we learn not to carry such a judgmental spirit. And when I say judgmental spirit, because I know some people may argue, well, you're supposed to judge people in the sense of evaluating individuals. Yes, evaluation, but not judging as far as condemning and just writing people off and throwing negative energy towards individuals because of how you want to look down upon them due to disagreements, or, even if, okay, they're into things we're not into, all right, that's them, that's their life, We don't need to look down on each other for our differences, so to speak. So I think it's important to understand that coming in with an open mind, having that open-minded spirit and not being judgmental is definitely going to play very well in your relations with men. Now, before I move on to my next point, which is going to be a doozy, I'm letting you know right now, okay? A lot of you are always asking me for one-on-one coaching or how you can get your questions answered, as well as learning how to tap into your feminine energy, heal, finding your purpose. Well, okay, I got you covered. Join my special coaching program. You can click the link below in the description or in the comment section, or go to receivingmyblessings.com. Thousands of women are already in this program. They're getting all the help, graduating from the program, seeing amazing results, and I want you to experience the same thing. So again, go to receivingmyblessings.com or click the link below or in the description. So now, number 3, and this one, I'm not gonna lie to you, I was hesitant to put on this list, and then I thought about putting it at the very end of the list, but God put it in my spirit to put it here, to talk about this, And let's just get to it. So the third feminine trait men find irresistible is being submissive. Now listen, I know a lot of you do not like the word submissive, and it can be very triggering, all right? And I want you to understand, let me make it very clear right now. This is not about you letting some man become your dictator. This is not about you being a weak vessel so that you can't lead yourself. You're incapable of holding yourself up, okay? It is simply about understanding the beneficial dynamics of men and women being in relationships, all right? A heterosexual relationship. And so here's the thing you have to understand. Let me start off by saying this. From all my years of doing this, and I've been doing this, 12, 13 years, what I have learned is that at the core of this discussion, at the core of this topic, the issue is not really about submission. The issue is about trusting a man to lead, okay? And it's very important that we lay it out that way, because I always say, if a woman, most women, if an angel could come down from heaven right now and say, listen, God's going to give you a man. This man is going to never hurt you, never cheat on you, be everything you need him to be. And all we need you to do is submit to him. The majority of women be like, sign me up. Where can I get one of those? All right. Because again, it's not a problem for a lot of women to actually embrace submission if they feel like they can be safe there. The rejection of it in many cases is the fact that there's such a negative perception of men's ability to lead, the safety of trusting a man in the long run, that women then reject the idea of submission. Now, let me also put this out there. When we talk about it from a very spiritual perspective, understand there's a level of submission that both sides are doing to each other. The man is submitting to the wife, the woman is submitting to the man. But yes, there is but then there is that next level, so to speak. So if we look at it from three layers, I break it down like this. There is the layer one. Woman and man submit to each other. They're submitting to each other's needs. They're pouring into each other. You know what I'm saying? They're a team. They're coming together. Layer two is the woman submitting to the man. And that layer two is more so like recognizing him as head of household, allowing him to be the full leader. And again, it's important that you understand that giving him the lead in that way does not mean you don't have a voice. I do not advocate for taking the woman's voice away. But what I do advocate is taking the burden off the woman. And I think that when a woman is with the right man in the right relationship and she is able to submit, she is able to be free. She is able to walk even more in her feminine energy. She is able to be at peace. She doesn't have to carry the burden of, I got to get this done. I got to do this. I got to make this decision and all these things. It doesn't mean you don't got an opinion. It doesn't mean he doesn't take into account how you feel, because he should. And I'm going to always encourage that with men. But it just means, okay, he's earned your trust. And not just he's earned your trust. If you are with the person that you know God wants you to be with, then you trust God enough to say, all right, if you're saying this is the God for me, then I can give him that submission. Okay? Which is why the third layer of this is the man submitting to God. So listen, from my perspective, I'm a man of God. I'm not going to tell any woman to submit to a man who does not submit to God. I'm not saying you cannot have this dynamic outside of a spiritual relationship and those who are believers, but this is the concept or the dynamic with which I work in, okay? And so I'm going to, pass that along to the viewers. But you are allowed to apply this in your own way if you got to. But anyways, so when we understand that a lot of women ultimately at the core of it do not have an issue with submission, and I would even argue that there is a natural occurrence when a woman is not holding on to past hurt and past issues and past disappointment. So she's healed, all right? Or at least she's healthy. And she is with a masculine man and they are pouring into each other. there is an innate, not just desire, but a natural occurrence of her being more submissive to him. And again, it's not taken into some negative, horrible way because the intentions are good from both sides. And so the thing though that women have to understand, because I know a lot of women will say, well, exactly, if these men would just be more masculine, if they would be more trustworthy, they would lead, I would have no problem. But notice what I said, if the woman is healthy emotionally. The problem is if you are not healthy emotionally as a woman, not only will you block your ability to walk in your femininity in a general sense, but what will happen in these situations where you come across a masculine man is that, yes, you will more than likely find yourself being more feminine and being more submissive while with this man. But then because you have not healed, those unhealed parts of you will kind of poke you like, hey, what's going on here? Don't let him have that much power over you. And again, I'm saying it like that because that's what your bad devil on your shoulder is going to tell you, okay? But that's not what he's actually trying to do. Is like he's not trying to control you, but your unhealed parts will start to frame it in a negative way. We'll start to be like, wait a minute, I'm too vulnerable here. Wait a minute, what's going on? And so now there becomes this back and forth. Now there becomes this struggle to sustain the femininity, to sustain the submissiveness in that relationship, because you have to heal first. So understand that that's an important piece of this puzzle. You can't just expect the man to make you more feminine. That's not his responsibility. It's for you. And as I said in the very beginning of this video, this is for your own health. So before you even meet a man, you got to learn how to walk in that energy, that spirit already. And that's another thing that's important to understand when we talk about submission, because again, many women will say, I don't have a problem with submission if it's the right guy, if he shows leadership, all these different things, right? But the problem is you don't even exude the ability to do it. And so the man who has the capabilities of leading in love, in pouring into you, in making sure you're good, he doesn't see that spirit coming off of your body. So he's like, nah, okay, I'm going to leave this one alone. She seems too difficult. She seems too walled up. Whatever. It repels him. And so it's important to understand this is why healing is important. This is why walking in your femininity, regardless of you being in a relationship or not, regardless of what's going on, you learning how to tap into that always is going to be what's most beneficial for you in your everyday life, but also what's going to allow you or increase your ability to connect with the right guy and have an amazing, healthy relationship. All right, so now we got a fourth feminine trait that men find irresistible, and that's simply being appreciative and grateful. Now, I actually wrote down on my paper being down to earth and not being entitled. But my spirit made me say no, grateful and appreciative. Now, I think they kind of all connect in a certain way. So I'm going to run it all down, right? But grateful and appreciative is the priority things. So real quick, let's just look at not being entitled and down to earth. I think that, again, the down to earth is the more at ease. You know, I mentioned in the other video that you're going to see after this about the 9 additional qualities. I talk about sense of humor, being, not being as tense. You know what I'm saying? Just free flowing. Because understand, the feminine energy is a very free flowing, loving, happy energy. So when you're down to earth and you're just cool and you're just chill, it's not so serious, more laid back. That's very attractive because that kind of spirit brings more peace to the relationship. It brings more harmony to the relationship. Now, not being entitled is definitely because I think one of the issues this is where entitlement and appreciation and gratefulness are connected. Because when you have entitlement, you will struggle to show appreciation and be grateful. Because in your mind, well, this is what the hell you're supposed to do. Like, what the hell? You want a cookie? You want what you want me to do? Because you did this? Like, this is what a man does? No, stop all that. Stop all that. Like, listen. Everything that someone does for you, man, woman, child, doesn't matter. It's a choice that they're making. We as people have to learn to be appreciative of the choices that people make to do good by us, to pour into us, to be honest with us, all these different things. And when we show an appreciation, I always say appreciation breeds production. So you want to kill the entitlement attitude. Nobody owes us anything, all right? Nobody. And it doesn't mean don't have standards in a relationship. It doesn't mean, don't express what you're looking for and what is required to be with you. But at the same time, understand that every time they check off that box and they do the right thing, encourage that, welcome it, celebrate it. You know what I'm saying? All these things. I think if we showed each other more appreciation, think about how more blessed that relationship becomes. You know what I'm saying? So being able to be more grateful and appreciative, because again, there are a lot of men, contrary to popular belief, there are a lot of men who are trying really damn hard with their woman. I mean, one of these days I'm going to give y'all a lot of these stories, all right? I'm going to bring these stories to the forefront because I think some of y'all just do not understand what's going on out there. And that woman is showing them no appreciation. None. It's like their efforts mean nothing. And it's only so much a man can do before he is just defeated and he's like, F it. Even if he remains in a relationship, which is a whole nother discussion, he's emotionally checked out, mentally checked out, and it just destroys everything. But it starts with we have to appreciate and be grateful of each other. All right, and the last one, and I actually have a quick bonus after this, but the last one is knowing yourself and loving yourself. And the reason why that's a feminine trait that men find irresistible is because it speaks to the core issue of insecurity. And what I mean is that when you don't love yourself, when you lack confidence, when you don't know who you are, it is so much easier to be insecure. It is so much easier to struggle in so many areas of your life. And it impacts your ability to be positive, loving, all these different things we're talking about. All right. It makes it harder for you to be expressive, because let's be real. One of the reasons why we struggle to express ourselves is because we're not confident in saying how we truly feel. And sometimes we don't know ourselves enough to even properly articulate what we're feeling. So at the core of all of this, I think the two foundational pieces to always work on or remember is, of course, healing, but then knowing and loving yourself. Giving yourself time to get to know you and love you for who you are, and only accepting a man who loves you for you. All right? Because listen, these traits will make you more irresistible, but I don't care. Like if you start attracting 20 of the guys tomorrow, but they don't love you for you, they're just attracted in the moment, they're caught up in the hype, I'm not going to encourage you to be in that relationship. I want you to be with the guy, like I said earlier, who you have a connection with, who loves you at your core. But I want you to be the best you. I don't want you to have this mentality of, well, yeah, okay, he should love me, flaws and all. To a certain extent, it's like, okay, yeah, we all got our flaws, but some flaws are very detrimental to the success of a relationship, to the even potential of a relationship. You can't just overlook all your negatives. We gotta work on those things. So again, become your best you, love yourself, know yourself, and you're gonna start to exude that feminine energy that just makes you amazing. And so the last thing I'm gonna note really quick, bonus, this isn't really a feminine trait, but I had to mention this in this video. And that is, men love a woman who has emotional intelligence. All right? So quickly, emotional intelligence is essentially becoming a master of your emotions, knowing how to use it for good, not allowing your emotions to get the best of you and have you all over the place and losing sight of things. All right? So as a woman, I want you to be in tune with self, in tune with spirit. I want you to be in tune with your emotions, because the more in tune with it you are, the more you know how to master it. The more you know how to, okay, wait a minute, I'm starting to feel angry. Okay, let me catch myself. Let me calm myself down. Let me take the necessary steps to pull back, to get back into a positive mindset, because I am aware. Because when you are emotionally intelligent, you are aware. By raising your awareness, you become better equipped to handle situations. So many women, because they struggle in that area, and it's a struggle that men and women have, but we're just talking about women right now, that can send so many situations left. So Again, it's not just beneficial for the sake of relationships and men, for you. And when you can learn how to have higher emotional intelligence, you will start to experience a better, higher quality, more efficient life. Hey, thank you for watching this video. Be sure to check this one out right here, and I'll see you there. So you know, they always say communication is key. Some people now say not communication, but comprehension. I say all of it, all right? Communication, comprehension, one way or another, you have to